Hello, everyone, and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host, Logan Landers, and today we're going to be having a very special game preview between the Florida State Seminoles and the NC State Wolfpack. Now, you guys know on this network we have a lot of esteemed guests. We have Mr. Football Vincent Turner, former FSU player Bobby Butler, along with Kevin the Bull Jones, some of our football experts. But you guys know every Monday I try at least bring one of the most highly profiled, esteemed guests on my show on Mondays, some of the top upcoming sports broadcasters in this business. And this weekend, this Monday, I'm doing it once again. I'm bringing my guy Jeremy Greene onto the show today. How you doing, Jeremy?
Hey, man, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty solid. I can't complain. It's a Monday. We were just talking about a little bit off air. You said you're still trying to recover from football Sunday in the NFL.
Ooh, it's been an aggressive weekend.
Yeah, I understand with that. But look, I know we're just happy the football's back. Early before all the season started, we were even wondering if we were going to have shows. So I'm glad we're doing that, and I'm happy to talk a little bit of football with you, man. We have two teams that I know you're very interested in. Why don't you tell the people at home why you're interested in both of these teams?
So I've worked for one of the NC State affiliates for a few years. We actually just switched to Carolina about a year ago. But I've paid a lot of attention to NC State. I live in the market here in North Carolina, and I've been a Florida State fan for 30 years, which is harder and harder to say by the day.
Yeah. Like we said, we got Bobby Butler on the show, so he used to play for him, so he knows all the trials and tribulations they're going through at the moment. But let's get into it, man. But first, be sure, guys, if you like this video, we're live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we do live videos all the time. That's what we do here. So if we have any mishaps or technical issues, that's live. We're on live, so that's how it is. But let's talk about Florida State and NC State. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about Florida State real quick. They have not had the best season, as we just said. They are 2-5 currently, 12th in the ACC. Jordan Travis had a slight injury this past week, and I know Seminole fans are just, it's just nothing's going their way this year. He is leading the team in passing yards, of course, being their quarterback, 864 passing yards, along with rushing yards as well at 472. So a good chunk of their offense might not be able to play during this game. So my first question to you, Matt, to you, Jeremy, if Travis isn't going to be able to play against the Wolfpack, how do you think he's going to fare?
Well, the hope would be that Chuba Purdy's ready, the blue chip freshman quarterback that hasn't gotten to play this year. Actually, the little brother of Iowa State's starting quarterback, Brock Purdy. This is the great hype at Florida State that this is going to be the next great quarterback. He had some injury issues in spring, wasn't ready to go when the season kicked off. And I'll be honest with you, Jordan Travis was an aberration. We didn't expect a lot out of him. He's a very mobile quarterback. And the thing about Travis is that he's very good he's a great big play quarterback. Right. He's very inconsistent. And a lot of 3 and outs with him, he's yet to find the ability to take the win, as we've always called it. Take the 5-yard check down, take the crosser, he wants to hit the home run on every play. And against Pittsburgh Saturday, we saw what that can get you.
Yeah, sometimes – I don't know. It's weird because, like you said, sometimes guys love doing those big Hollywood type of plays that are going to get you on ESPN, and it works out well for them. But sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. I don't know if that has to do with just ability or just bad luck. Maybe it's a little bit of both at the moment for Florida State. But like you said, well, hopefully that Travis, like you said, they didn't expect too much out of him. They're expecting Chuba to come in and really kind of light things up, but he's got to get his feet wet first. He's got to be able to get a few games under him, get a few snaps in. He did play a couple of downs this past game.
He came in for Jordan Travis. He obviously looked he was very uncomfortable, but he was coming into a really bad situation. I mean, the game was already it was already I'm not going to say it was over, but it would have been very difficult for him to bring him back. I mean, he had 11 completions and had, I want to say it was 35 or 38 yards or something like that.
Right, but
very captain check down.
Yeah, it's hard coming in cold like that too, especially he probably wouldn't expect him to play too much this season. And I mean, they lost against Pittsburgh 41-17, so that's just how their season's been rocking for them so far. It's really their defense has been kind of hurting them on every game this season. I mean, only getting 2 wins. That's how that's good. That's pretty telling for a team that's esteemed in ACC and just college in general to not even be ranked. It's kind of crazy.
The defense is what's making me nervous about Mike Norvell. Norvell, we knew that it would take some time coming from the disaster that was Willie Taggart to get the offense where it was supposed to be. What's making me nervous? They can't stop anybody, and they've got high end, Asante Samuel, Junior, Marvin Wilson. This is a defense that's got a lot of talent, and they're getting just demolished. Kenny Pickett's a high level college quarterback. I mean, I struggle to think that what Trevor Lawrence is going to do to them based off what I just saw Kenny Pickett do to them.
Yeah, well, that's pretty scary. Now, I'm just looking at all the games that they've played here so far. The only team that they've lost against that hasn't scored 40 points was Georgia Tech their opening week, and they lost that one 16-13. But other than that, I'm looking at Miami. They gave up 52 points. Notre Dame, who just beat Clemson, like we just said, they gave up 42, and then 48 to Louisville, and then 41 to Pittsburgh. So their defense is struggling, like a lot of defenses are. So that's just how it is. I mean, it does, it's rough. It's rough around the edges. We've seen all throughout every level of football that the defenses just haven't been so smooth like we've seen in the past with all the COVID stuff going on. And that's really been affecting the Seminoles this season. And like you say, it's going to be rough to see what a Trevor Lawrence-led Clemson Tigers team is going to be doing to them. Because they play them in 2 weeks. They play after NC State. So that's going to be it's going to be Florida. If Florida State wants to win that one, that's got to be an absolute perfect game. They can't have any turnovers. They got to play flawless football. But that's hard against a high-profile team with Clemson.
If Florida State played a flawless game against Clemson, I still think they lose by 30. They have to play flawless to just not get beat by 70. Especially now that Clemson there's no room for error with Clemson now that they've lost to Notre Dame. And, they'll get a little bit of a pass because Trevor Lawrence didn't play, and they will get to see Notre Dame in the ACC title game. But, yeah, I mean, it's a scary time, between this week with NC State, next week with Clemson. There are some ugly days ahead, I'm afraid, for my Seminoles.
Yeah, that and like I said, Clemson took that loss. They were the number 1 ranked team in the country. And now they're number 4. So they've got a little bit of momentum. They're still in the playoff picture, which, I mean, I think we all figured even after that loss. So they got momentum, and they've got a little bit of fire under them now because, look, let's be honest, they've been dominating college football the last couple of years. And sometimes you just kind of coast. And, yes, I understand that their starting quarterback wasn't it's play. But, sometimes it's good to take a loss because it lets your team know, like, all right, we're not unbeatable. We can take losses. And it's really just how can you come back from a loss like that?
Well, I mean, this was Clemson. This was only their 3rd loss in the regular season in 5 years.
Yeah.
So this is not a team that faces a ton of adversity.
No.
But I still think Clemson's arguably the best team in the country. It wasn't DJ Uiagalelei that got them beat against Notre Dame. It was the fact they couldn't stop anybody. The defense was missing some starters. It was an interesting game. But I will tell you, Notre Dame knows that they're going to have to play Clemson again, and they will get a full-strength Clemson, I believe, in Charlotte at the end of December.
Every team's worst nightmare. Full-strength Clemson. Ugh.
And angry.
Yeah, angry and ready to score 50 on you. But let's talk about the Wolfpack. Let's talk about NC State. So currently this season they are 4-3. They're 6th in the ACC. We saw what they did against Miami. They almost pulled off the shocking upset. They lost 44-41. Really good game. They played this past Friday. So I was very shocked to see that game so close because Miami's looked very good this year. And North Carolina State's kind of a lower, I would say kind of slept on ACC team. Not a lot of people were looking at them thinking, man, there's no way they could take Miami to the brink,
There's not a real good explanation. Bailey Hockman, their current starting quarterback, is a Florida State transfer. This is a guy that he was the no doubt things are headed down a path when he played at Florida State because he came in and had one of the worst appearances by a Florida State quarterback in the 30 years I've been watching him. And now seeing him line up across the field at NC State, that should make me feel good, but it doesn't. He was strikingly efficient against Miami, played within himself, did what they expected him to do. And I'll be honest with you, when Devin Leary went down, I wrote NC State off, but they hung right with a very tough Miami team. And it wasn't a lot of fluky things either. It wasn't a lot of turnovers. It wasn't, anything like that. NC State did what NC State does. They give up a ton of yards. This is a team that the stats in this game are going to be eye-popping because neither one of these teams plays great defense. But they kept De'Aaron King from killing them. Even though he had 430 yards, he didn't put them out. And there's something to be said for that. There's not a statistical thing that I can say here, this is what NC State did. But, in watching the game, they bent, they didn't break. And that's weird to say out of a team that gave up 44 points. But they could have given up 70.
Very true. And like you said, that injury to Devin Leary really kind of hurt them this season, and having to have Hockman basically be their starter, it looks like for potentially the remainder of the season. Leary broke his collarbone a couple weeks ago, so there's no telling if he'll even come back, if there's even a point to come back. So we'll have to see that. Just have to write it out with Hockman, see how he's doing. But I like Zonovan Knight, though. He's around. He's got 450 yards. We'll have to see how he's going to do against this Florida State defense, like you said. And then also they got Emeka Emezie as a receiver. So we'll have to see how this. Do you have any key players for either the Seminoles or the Wolfpack that you think are really kind of going to stand out during this game?
The ones that stand out to me, I need to see more from Marvin Wilson. The defensive tackle from Florida State. This is a guy that was going to be a day one pick. And a lot of people were shocked that he came back to Tallahassee this year because he probably would have been a late first rounder last year. But he's just not been. I love the kid to death. He's just not been overly impactful. Now I understand that he's throwing double teams that he's probably not used to because the strength of that defensive line is
right.
This is probably the worst defensive line Florida State's had in 25 years. And I mean, that's saying something when you've got an All-American in the middle.
Right.
They're going to have to get pressure on Hockman. They have not done a good job of that this year. The back seven is not overly experienced. Some of these are more Norvell guys. The one thing I will say, the one commendable thing I'll say about Mike Norvell is that he seems to be changing the culture. There was a very what's the nice way to put this? There was kind of a fog around the Florida State program with Willie Taggart missing walkthroughs, just very strange things, very lackadaisical, very not committed to day in day out, and Norvell seems to be changing that. But for me, the players of the game are going to be, can Bailey Hockman come in and do to Florida State what he did to Miami? Stay within himself. Don't try to win this game yourself. Bailey Hockman does not have to win this game.
Right.
He can lose it, but he doesn't have to win it. He has to be a consistent quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over. 250 is probably enough to win this game. And get in the end zone, don't settle for field goals. So he's it's kind of a cop out to say the quarterback's the key player for NC State. when you've played four of them this, it's now that they seem to have settled on Hockman, he is going to be the key to NC State. And for Florida State, you got to find a playmaker, whether it's Tam Terry or any of these. I mean, they have a ton of receivers. It's just nobody stepped up. And Chuba Purdy, who it appears, from everything I'm hearing, it appears Chuba Purdy is going to start this game. You're going to have to do something. I mean, this kid was in high school a year ago. This is a kid that was going into his state playoffs this same week last year. So you're going to have to do some things to help this kid to not be captain checkdown. Because if he is, they're going to get destroyed. NC State can score on them. NC State can score points. And if Chuba Purdy can't lead touchdown drives, it's going to be a really long day.
Yeah, see, for me, one of the keys, I'm not going to go with a certain player. I'm going to go with two kind of matchups. If you're Florida State and you want to win this game, you got to be able to stop the receiving core of NC State. They've got 16 touchdowns on the year, and more specifically, you got to stop the tight end. Angeline has been absolute wonders this year for them, 6 touchdowns on the season. So if you're Florida State, you got to contain that guy. Meanwhile, if you're Florida State, you got to keep the running game going. Their receivers only have 6 touchdowns on the season, but their running game has 12. Now, yes, Jordan Travis does have half of those with 6, but someone's got to step up on the offensive side of the ball for Florida State if you guys want to get some points. That's the main thing. You got to get some turnovers as well. And that's just not been how it's been going on this season for them. And that's, like I said, it's weird to see because we know Florida State's one of the most highly decorated programs in college football history, let alone, just the ACC. So it is very uncharacteristic to see them having this record and we're talking about them. Can they beat NC State? It's just something you would never have thought of even, 5 or 10 years ago.
When you saw Jimbo Fisher and Jameis Winston lift the trophy in 2015, you didn't think we would get here. Now it's almost become familiar. Florida State's had offensive line issues since Rick Trickett left. You were talking about the running game. They haven't been an overly good running team. They've been offensive line's probably been the bottom 10% in college football for the last 3 years. Just a lot of movement, a lot of different combinations, a lot of guys that didn't pan out to be what they were recruited to be. And that's going to be a key against NC State. If they're one dimensional and they ask Chuba Purdy to win this game by himself, they have no shot. So they're going to have to find somebody in the running game that can consistently get that 4 to 6 yard chunk on first down, keep them ahead of the numbers. The biggest, the most damning thing that could happen to Florida State is that they live in 3rd and 7 and longer, 2nd and 9 and longer. If you're behind the chains with a true freshman quarterback, you have absolutely no shot to beat this team.
All right, I like it, man. You're bringing the heat today. So what are your final predictions on this game? Who's going to get the win?
I would, I can't look at, somebody with as much experience as Bailey Hockman and the way NC State played Friday night against Miami. I don't see how Florida State's going to beat them. For me as a Florida State fan, a win in this game would be Chuba Purdy looks like he evolves. He's not, 11 of 21 or something like that as he was against Pittsburgh for 38 yards. He can push the ball down the field. I'm going to say NC State's going to win this game. Like you said, they've only had one game all year that didn't allow 40. I don't see that streak ending. So I'm going to say it'll be a 4. It's going to be very similar to Pittsburgh. I would say it's 41-24 Wolfpack. And I don't think Florida State puts up a lot of opposition. It's going to be a comfortable lead for the vast majority of the game, I believe. NC State is, at this point, is just a better team than Florida State is.
I'm with you. I'm riding that momentum off of that Miami game. That's why I'm going to give NC State the win in this one. If you're Florida State, like you said, man, you got to have at least a small moral victory. You want to see Chuba have a nice game. I'm not saying he's going to light the stat sheets up or anything, but as long as he looks consistent and he can look like the quarterback of the future, that's all you can ask for in this game. If they get a win, that's nice, but they're not, that might be one of their highlights of the season if they were able to get this win and kind of get some momentum back on their side. So we'll have to see. But it's going to be a good game, hopefully. Like I said, a very offensively minded game. So if you guys like high-scoring games, be sure to tune into this. And I know I'll be keeping a close eye on it and see how it goes, and we'll have to see who gets the win.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it will be it's going to be a big day for Florida State football. This is the day that you say, do you have the quarterback of the future or not? Because this is not a good enough defense that he should look out of place. So,
right.
The keys, the things to look for if you're a Florida State fan, does Chuba Purdy look like he belongs in this game? And as time goes on, does he get better? Does he get more comfortable? Can he find guys like Tamarian Terry and these weapons that are pretty good? Because he didn't do that Saturday in a much different scenario. This is his team. He gets first team reps all week. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do.
I'm feeling you, man. Well, let's see if the Wolfpack can get the win this Saturday. And, hey, Jeremy, thanks for coming on the show, man. I know you got some stuff you'd like to promote. Why don't you tell the fans at home where they can reach out to you and where they can see some more of your content?
You can find me on Twitter all day, every day, Jay Greene, at Jay Greene ESPN. I have an ESPN radio show that can be found on iHeartRadio. All you have to do is search my name. And then we do a morning show at the Sportsocracy on all the social medias, 9 to 10. It's got a little bit of a gambling lean to it. We talk about a lot of that. It's funny. I came up as a stand-up comedian, so we try to be funny whilst informative. But that will actually start in about 15 minutes. It's 9 to 10 every weekday morning.
Awesome. Well, guys, be sure to go check out Jeremy and his team over there. They're doing great work. And, hey, man, I enjoyed having you on the show. It was a blast having you on today, man.
Anytime, man. I'm always a phone call away. My
awesome.
Greatest ability is my availability.
There you go. There's that comedian coming out in you. I like it. But, all right, guys, if you guys enjoyed this show, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Watch our podcast as well. We're on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, anywhere else you can listen to your audio experience. We are brought to you by the Belief Podcast Network, of course. And if you guys want to check out any of our other videos, we got a lot coming to you later in the week. So for my guest, Jeremy Greene, I'm your host, Logan Landers, and we'll be talking to you guys very shortly.